are live for another episode of the Weekly Finish. I got a different episode this week because my daughter is home, so she actually can control some of the camera stuff, which is great. She's got to watch Wayne's World though. I got to get you to watch Wayne's World, so you can go like 5, 4, 3, and then you don't say 2, and then you like are more dramatic with the point.
I know how to do that.
So welcome to this week's episode of the Weekly Finish. Thanks for joining me. If you are watching this live on Facebook Live, that's awesome. You're going to get a chance to interact with me, which I think is great. And because we continuously are making progress with this thing, I'm going to be able to kind of show you, be able to actually answer questions, which makes me very happy. So, hello Jay up there. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to be able to answer questions in the Facebook itself. So if you like what you're seeing, I can see the reactions. I can see the hearts, the likes, the smiles, the anger maybe when I tell you that maybe you're using your calendar all wrong, all that stuff. So this week we're going to be talking about calendar management. I'm utilizing the whiteboard a little bit this week, but not to the same degree I might use it in future weeks. And we've got a half hour here, and I want to get right into it. So if you, again, if you're watching this live on Facebook Live, that's great. If you're not, and you're watching this on YouTube, thanks for joining me on YouTube. Of course, you get to see all the episodes live on Facebook Live every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And also, you get to see them the next week between Wednesday and Friday. Wednesday is my audio video day, so normally I get them up on Wednesday. So that way you can watch them to close out the next week. And I'm trying to keep these evergreen so that way, no matter when you're watching it, whether you're watching this on a Wednesday or a Friday or a Thursday or a Saturday, depending on what time zone you're in, you will be able to finish the week strong. And that's what we want to do here. So last week I showed you another quote, a quote from David Taylor Klaus. And today's quote that I've got is this one. We'll just zoom in on that if we can. And it says, decide with your mind and your heart. So decide with your mind and your heart. And there's something about these quotes that I seem to be able to find meaning in with my work every single day, and with these shows that I do. And what I'm going to talk to you today about is calendar management, and how when you are putting together your calendar, your appointment, your schedules, you're defining your days as I like to say, you will do so with your mind and your heart. Now, first off, big thanks to Grace for sitting here. She's going to be bored for the next half hour. She's not necessarily thrilled about time management and stuff, but when we go down to VidCon in June, she'll probably appreciate the time management part of me. I don't know. We'll see. Plus, I'll actually have a YouTube presence at this point, which is thanks to all of you who have subscribed to the channel. I'm going to be adding more videos every week, and I'm learning more and more about how to use YouTube. So again, big thanks for that. That's actually what's funny is that yesterday, Thursday, is my training day. And that means that I spend Thursdays training myself and training others. So I will put together a screencast for my assistant, Claire. I will learn about Facebook ads. I will learn I learned how to schedule a Facebook Live recording with the Mevo here when I was on when it was a Thursday. I learned, and Grace, if you want to zoom in a little tighter to my face, you can, just a little bit for this part. Show the dynamic aspects of this camera. This camera's got 9 different camera angles, all built into one device. It's fantastic. I think I'm going to bring it with me down to VidCon too. So that way we can do some cool stuff down there. Maybe even let Grace do some cool stuff too. What do you think? Do you think that'd be cool?
Sure.
She's nodding in the background. So let's talk about calendar management. Let's dive in. So one of the biggest things that I've heard in recent months, and this is a big trend over the past year, is the idea of using your calendar and skipping the to-do list, like working by the calendar. And there's a problem with that. And the biggest problem with that advice is that it's often using and citing examples of people who can afford to use their calendar as their to-do list and not having to have a to-do list at all. One of the greater examples is Richard Branson. He was quoted in The book by Kevin Kruse, who I think is a great author, and I've had him on the podcast before, but saying that he works by his calendar, but he doesn't use a to-do list. And Branson actually refuted that comment and said, no, I do have a to-do list. I'm totally using it. So to say that I don't doesn't make any sense. So the calendar plays an important role in your productivity, but it's not the only part of it. You need a to-do list. What I like to say is that the calendar should allow you to funnel your focus and define your days, but the details are in the to-do list. So for example, what I recommend that people do with their calendars, and this is an easy way to manage your calendar because your brain can't keep track of everything it possibly needs to do during the course of a week, a month, and a day even. So what your brain needs is it needs something to hold on to tether itself to. So what I like to do, and I've talked about this before in my Skillshare class, I've talked about this for years, is the idea of theming your days. Giving your days, and we'll start there because time theming is a big part of this time crafting that I do and I teach. It's a big part of it. So let's dive into that. Let's unpack that a little bit. And actually, you know what? We're going to get a little bit more dynamic here. I've got my down there, Grace. I've got my my whiteboard stuff, and we're going to do a little whiteboarding. Why the hell not? So pull out a little bit. We'll get on there. I need the cloth though to be able to do some of it. So if you could get perfect. See, it's great to have this. You know, she's going to make me do this for her stuff now too. Mm-hmm. All right. So let's get into this. I believe that, let's see how the red turns out. Yeah, maybe we'll use purple. We'll use purple in this instance. All right, so what we're going to do right now is I'm going to write down, just put down the calendar in any, and I'm going to put it down the way that I do it. And I'll try to get it so that it all fits. Might get a little cramped here at the end, but that's okay. So I'm going to write down all of the days of the week. So there they all are. So we'll use the purple marker for that, and then I think I will use the black marker for the theming. So here's how I help people define their days and theme their days so they can manage their calendar better. Now, I want to be very clear about this. When we're talking about daily theming, we're not talking about that this is the only thing you do in a given day. It's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is we're talking about the idea of giving yourself an overarching focus for the day. And I've talked about this before in podcasts as well as in articles, but to hear it from me face-to-face videos is a good way to get it from me. So the idea is that the question shouldn't be, when you are done doing the task you're doing, what do I do now? Because that can lead to a wide variety of options. What you should be saying to yourself, the first question, because it's an easy answer for your brain, is what day is it? And what that does is that leads you to define and funnel your focus a little bit more, because you could say, well, today is Friday. Let's use that as an example. Well, what does Friday mean to me? Well, Friday, for me, is deep work day. Okay, so I know that I should be doing some form of deep work next. All right, well, how do I know what I've categorized as deep work? That's where the to-do list comes in. So what you would do is you would tag or label tasks with the theme of deep work. So for example, working on writing a book, working on a chapter of a book, that would be deep work. Doing some research could be deep work. It's whatever you personally define as deep work could be tagged as such or labeled as such. And then that way, instead of you looking at your massive to-do list, it's got hundreds and hundreds of items on it, you're seeing maybe 20, 30. You might still see 100 items, but at least you know it's all related to deep work. And then you can start to use some of the other theming principles that I talk about when it comes to mode-based work, and we'll get into that in a little bit, as well as maybe a project that you might want to work on as well. We'll get into that in a second. But how do you theme your days? Well, the first thing you need to do, and this is going to be a real crash course in this, we only have about 20 minutes, is we work backwards from our certainties. And this is not, when you think about this, the idea of theming your days, it's not unlike, and theming your time really, it's not unlike what happens in school. Like, Grace is not in school today, it's a professional development day for her. But when she goes to school, she knows where she needs to be at a given time. She knows that, you know, like, what's your first class of the day?
What day?
Well, that's it. See, what day? All right, so what would be your first class on a Monday?
We have exploratory first class.
Exploratory. So she knows that that's what they're going to be discussing immediately, right? And then is that every single Monday? Every single Monday of exploratory, right?
Just after advisory.
Right. And then what do you have on Tuesday mornings?
French.
French, first thing. And then every Tuesday, correct? Right. And what about Wednesday?
Math. I
Math.
believe.
Math. So basically, school taught us this. And then we get out of school, and then we're just told, okay, you go to your job, and you're left to your own devices. There's some elements of what you're taught in school with regards to this. There's lots of things in school that you should learn that you don't. Subject for another episode. But you have to work backwards from your certainties. Grace is certain that every Monday she goes to school, and that's where she's going to see exploratory. That's what she's going to be doing. Tuesday will be French. Wednesday will be math, and so on. She didn't know that today was going to be Pro D Day. Well, she did, but it's not like every Friday is a Pro D Day. So that's what we want to do, is we want to work backwards from our certainties. Now, I will tell you that this is the only audio and video work I will be doing today, because I committed to doing it every Friday. Normally, I wouldn't do any of this on Friday, and there's a reason, especially this Friday. That's because Grace and Colton are home. Colton's actually upstairs being very good, very quiet. Grace is sitting here only making noise when I ask her questions that she didn't expect to be asked. But so that's a certainty. So I know that the kids are in school Monday through Friday, right? So that's a certainty. But not every Friday, and not every Monday actually either. As we're recording this, Victoria Day is here in Canada this coming Monday. Well, they're not going to be in school. The following week would be Memorial Day in the United States. So Mondays and Fridays are not always going to be the case where the kids are in school. So I really only know that these days right here, let's just put a lot. I know the kids are in school during these days, right? So that gives me some options there. That's a certainty. So I know the kids, but the kids are always home on Saturday and on Sunday. So I'm just going to put there, maybe I should have put a K there instead. But that also means that there will be no audio or video work happening those days. All right? So now let's take a look at the fact that we know that that's certain means that as a father, as a family man, I'm going to want to at least give one of those days my overarching attention to family. And for you, it could be Sunday. If you go to church, things like that, you might want to make that part of the whole family experience. That's not something I do. So Saturday is my family day, and I'll just put fam here. So that means that my overarching focus every Saturday is family. Now, what's interesting is this week, the weather is supposed to be terrible on Saturday, but it's supposed to be nice on Sunday. Sunday is not my family day, but watch how this works very easily. Sunday, I know I can't do any audio-video work. I know that I can't do any real deep work, but also I know that not a lot of people will be bothering me in terms of, and when I say bother, I mean I'm not going to get a lot of email. I'm going to be fairly solo, so there won't be a lot of interruptions or distractions or disruptions happening. So Sunday for me, knowing all of that, is a perfect day for me to do planning. So I'll call it planning. A bit hard to reach this, but there you go. So this week, what we're going to do is we're going to swap these. So Saturday is going to be planning day if the weather's terrible, and Sunday is going to be family day. But I have these options, and what happens is the tasks migrate with it. So if I'm going to do family stuff with the kids on Sunday, whatever I was going to do Saturday just gets moved to Sunday, and vice versa. So that's one way that theming really works, because it allows me to funnel my focus. Now, I also know that during these days of the week that my wife is home certain days. Anne is home on Mondays, because she doesn't, and on Thursdays. So those are days where her and I want to work on business stuff for sure. So I'm going to keep that in mind. Now that I know that Anne's going to be home on Thursdays, and the kids are often at school on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays, really Tuesdays and Wednesdays are the best days for me to do any kind of audio or video work, right? And so I've decided that audio video is Wednesday. Now I could choose Tuesday, and as a matter of fact, since I'm doing more video, I may actually split these up at some point and say audio is Tuesday, video is Wednesday, or vice versa. But for now, this means that every Wednesday I will work on audio and video stuff, which is why I work on these videos and get them up on YouTube on Wednesdays. Now, that leaves, so now I still have to find Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Well, Thursday, since Anna's working on the business with me, she's showing me stuff, I'm showing her stuff, and we're learning together. We call this training day. So I'm training her in certain aspects of the business. She's training me in certain aspects of the business. I'm developing screencasts, for example, for if she needs to know how to do things. I created a whole new podcasting workflow that happened on a Thursday. Learning about Google Analytics happens on a Thursday. Okay, so that is how that works. Okay, so that's my training day, which means that if I get a shiny new thing to look at, I know that Thursday is the best day for me to look at it. Okay, so now I've got Monday, Tuesday, and Friday to work on. Now, Monday is another day that my wife is home with me, and it used to be my admin day. But coaching is a big part of what I do, and Anna's more heavily involved in that because she's the one that tells me how many clients we have, et cetera, helps with the training materials. So Monday recently, only as of May of 2017, I give that my overarching focus on a Monday. That doesn't mean I only do coaching calls on a Monday. It means I send all my recap messages on Mondays. I do everything related to coaching. That gets my overarching focus on Mondays. But sometimes I do coaching Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. It just depends. Friday I try to keep fairly free, and you'll see why in a second. But coaching is my overarching focus on Monday. Tuesday, we need to do some admin stuff, admin/triage. I'm working with a client right now who's doing both admin triage. So I call Tuesday my admin day for now. I say for now because I think what's going to happen, and I'm noticing this more as my business grows, is that admin might end up being more of a horizontal theme, which we'll get to in a little bit here. And that means audio and video might get split up the more audio and video I'm doing. So that leaves Friday, and as I mentioned earlier, Friday is deep work day. That's when I work on deep stuff, like writing or like anything that's going to require a lot of depth and focus. The reason I make Friday that day is because, or deep work on Friday, is because I may not always get that opportunity. I do have, training days on Thursdays and planning days on Sundays, which often has some deep work that goes into it. And sometimes Friday the kids are home. I will not be doing a lot of deep work today. I can tell you that much based on, we already watched Lego Batman. So it's not exactly like a deep work day so far. I will do some, but the key here again is its overarching focus. Now, I also do what I call horizontal theming, which is something that I think more people out there are more apt to do. Now, these work in tandem, and I'll explain how in a second. So here's how that works. And I don't know if the orange will turn out very well, but I'm going to use it anyway. So, basically, the one thing that hasn't shown up here at all, and this is part of what I do, there we go. And I'm seeing some comments come up here. Yes, Paul, great. Sharpening the saw every week, planned and excellent. Exactly, yeah. What can I do? Jay, I'll answer your question first. What can I do when you have a hard time focusing on the same task for long periods of time? Can you theme a day and branch them across several disciplines? Yes. So training doesn't just, sometimes training is related to cooking. Like I want to learn how to cook, use my Anova, what is that thing called? The induction cooker, the precision cooker. Sometimes I want to learn instant pot recipe. I want to become better at cooking. Learning how to do this versus learning how to do Google Analytics or Facebook ads. I think the reason you want to make your themes fairly broad, because then that allows you to have some variety in there, okay? So admin is very broad. Like admin can lead to admin for different project types, admin for whatever. Coaching is broad in that I have a lot of clients that I work with and they all have different needs. Planning, of course, is broad. Audio, video, you can see I'm doing more and more with that. In fact, audio video was getting a bit stale because I wasn't doing a lot of video. So by adding this to the mix and stuff, it's made it a bit more of a variety. I've been able to kind of channel my focus throughout the day. So yes, I get it. If you theme a day, the idea is you should be able to ask yourself, okay, what day is it? Oh, it's Saturday. Saturday's family day. Like my kids know, and Grace, I mean, you know this. If we're going to do something cool, what day do we do it?
On the weekend, normally Saturday.
Saturday, right. So if the kids say, hey, we want to go see that new movie, we're going to go see Wonder Woman, we don't go see it on opening day. We go see it on Saturday. And it's the same principles that I've used. I mean, if Colton was to come downstairs right now, I have a door hanger on my door that, I have one that I got at a book expo, but if you don't have one, if you want this a real quick tip here, ever since he was 3 years old, I hung this thing on my door. And if I hung it on my door, it meant don't knock, keep it down. And he thinks I'm doing podcasts every single time, only normally I'm doing coaching. If the door is shut, it means knock before you come in. And if the door's open, come on in. So it's all about setting boundaries, and these are boundaries for you, right? So again, waypoints. Like, hey, what's today? Today's Monday. Monday's coaching day. What coaching tasks do I need to do? Hey, it's admin day. What admin days tasks do I have to do? That kind of thing. All right. Let's. And yeah, probably we all have a lot of stuff going on. That's why. I mean, I don't have writing listed here, right? Well, here's how I work this out. So. And if we can see the bottom here, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So my horizontal themes that go from Sunday, because Sunday is the day I start my work week, all the way until Friday. Just put that right there. Do a nice little. I have two. One is just writing, and that's more the online writing. So let's blog posts, newsletter, and then I have another horizontal theme. Fitness. I use Dr. Michael Bruce's. That's going across as well. So horizontal thing, now you're going to say, well, what does that mean? When do you gets done? I have two blocks, 9 to 10:30 a.m. and p.m. And fitness is generally, I have fallen off the wagon on this a little bit, from 6:30 to 7:30. And when I talk about fitness, PM, remember I'm a night owl. So when I talk about fitness, I'm talking about exercise, meditation, going for like cardio, any of that stuff would fit into that category. And the reason I choose that is because based on my chronotype, it's better suited for me to work out later in the day. And in most cases, the kids have already had dinner at this point. In fact, I'm going to say almost all cases. And if I'm waiting for Anne to get home, then I'll have dinner with her after that. So I'll either have dinner well before or well after. But that's kind of how I operate. So we already kind of showed this, but time slots. So I will have people book out the time slots and have that happen. So there's 3 different types of theming we've talked about when it comes to the weekly stuff. There is the regular theming, which is the daily theming, which I talked about. There's horizontal theming, which goes across different days, so it's more in time slots as opposed to the days. And then here's the final one I want to get to as we get close to wrapping up in terms of controlling your calendar, is I also give my calendar, my month, a theme as well. So every month has a theme. So this month's theme, which was not going to be the theme initially, but it's become it, was focusing on video, which was actually going to be June's theme, and now it's both. So I've focused on video, building up the YouTube channel. Monthly themes are generally project-based. So I want to work on this project for 30 days. I want to work on this project for 30 days. So what I've done is for this month, from May 1st to May 31st, as we're in the month of May, that's been my overarching theme. So if I'm sitting here on planning day and I go, well, what am I going to plan about? Well, what's my monthly theme? Oh, it's YouTube videos. Building my YouTube profile. Okay, I need to plan to shoot a trailer. I need to plan to contact people who filmed stuff for me before and get that footage. I need to plan to get a speaker reel together. So all of a sudden it's funneled towards that monthly theme, right? And again, I don't always have to do that, but generally that's what I would do. And yeah, lean, exactly, lean. The leaner you are, the better. If you have less things for you're storing in your brain, the better. So these are all waypoints. If Wednesday, audio video day, today it's like I'm recording this video. Wednesday I'd be doing video, I'd be working on stuff for my YouTube channel. It lends itself perfectly to my monthly theme. The deep work I would be doing today would be related to video work. So it might be spending the day reading Amy Schmidt-Auer's book, Vlog Like a Boss, or Vlog. Is it vlog or vlog?
Vlog.
I know it's vlog. I just wanted to see what you're doing. She's shaking her head. Planning for maybe some of the deep work is going to be like learning, do I want, what it takes to do a vlog. Maybe that's what I want to do. Maybe I'm going to learn, spend some time in that. But the bottom line is it allows you to funnel your focus. The calendar is designed it's a grid. It's not designed for details. If you put everything that you needed to do or wanted to do as line items in your calendar, you'd feel overwhelmed. And then the other thing you do, and this, by the way, this works really well for this, is if you don't get it done, you put it off to the next tomorrow, and the next tomorrow, and the next tomorrow. And guess what happens? There is no next tomorrow. So if I don't get my video work done on Wednesday, then there might be one or two that might need to be done during the other days. But generally, I can push things to the Wednesday. When somebody says, hey, Mike, we want you to look at this new product, I generally schedule it for a Thursday. When someone says, hey, Mike, can you do some research for me for coaching? I generally put it on a Monday. Hey, Mike, we're going to plan some stuff for the future. I'm going to put it on a Sunday. Hey, you know what? This is something that doesn't fall into any of those. Oh, it goes to Tuesday. And so on and so forth. So that's how you can take control of your calendar. The calendar is not designed to be a to-do list. It's designed to kind of house your overarching focuses, to give you a template to work with. The details are in the to-do list. The definitions are in your days. So my challenge to you is to define your days. Work backwards from your certainties and pick a weekly theming process, this daily themes that can work for you. Whether it's a combination of horizontal themes and daily themes, whether you're just going to go with a monthly theme at first. And that's the beauty part about what I teach with time crafting, is that you don't have to do it all to be doing it. It's a personal productivity approach. Remember, I believe personal productivity, real personal productivity, is about intention plus attention. These are my intentions. Putting it in this framework allows me to pay attention to it. That's pure productivity, pure personal productivity, because you're going to be moving forward as opposed to moving madly in all different directions. So that's it for this week's episode of The Weekly Finish. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you liked this episode on Facebook, please share it. Share the video. It's going to be now here in Facebook forever. Spread the word. I'd love to have more people joining me every week. In fact, next week's open Q&A. So any questions, it's going to be a full free-for-all. That's what we call it, like a free-for-all. And that way I can answer questions, whatever tech relate, anything that I can help you with, I'll help you with. Think of it as like a half-hour coaching session with me, which you don't get very often, at least not for free. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I'd love it if you'd give this a like. Comments are welcome. Spread the word. My goal is to make the weekly finish stronger so that you can finish the week stronger each and every week. So that's it for now. Until next week, I'm Mike Vardy. Thanks for joining me. And until next time, remember to stop guessing and start going.